Trying to get the exposure right. Hello! Welcome to my Q&A. So over on my Instagram account, I asked for some questions for you guys to get to know me better. So here we go. The questions. Okay, so crunchy or smooth peanut butter? Ooh, I do like a crunch, but I'm gonna have to say smooth. It's just a lot more versatile. What is your favorite plant milk? Oatly, oat milk, love the stuff. It doesn't make your tea or coffee get all weird and curdly like that disgusting, oh. I've made my own almond milk once, properly, like straining it and everything, and it is probably the best milk I've ever tried, but I'm just too lazy to do that all the time. Favorite fruit? I love strawberries, but only if they're from like a strawberry field. A strawberry patch? Strawberry farm? What is it called? I've only been strawberry picking once in my life, and those are probably the best strawberries I have ever had. They were so ripe and so juicy and so bright red, and they were warm from the sun, and we just went around filling our baskets and eating as many strawberries as we wanted. I really like raspberries too. Cotton candy grapes. Pineapple. I'm so indecisive. This is terrible. Cherries. Sour cherries. What are those ones called? There's a name. Seriously, what's the name for sour cherries? Siri, what are sour cherries called?
The answer is Prunus cerasus.
That's not helpful. Sour cherries? Is there not a name for them? Well, now I feel stupid. Peaches. Peach pie. Peach crumble. Rhubarb. Okay, I can't decide. Can I just have all the fruit, please? Don't make me choose. Top 5 essentials in your vegan kitchen. Tofu. Bananas. Some kind of plant milk. Greens. Some kind of like dark leafy greens like kale or spinach. And tamari. What is your favorite vegan food or foods that you can't live without? And it specifically says not tofu. Why can't it be tofu? The answer is tofu! Honestly, this one's hard because there's a lot of really good vegan food out there that I would be fine not eating. The things that I wouldn't want to have to ever stop eating are fruits and vegetables. Do you hear that? That's birds on the roof. It sounds like a person is on my roof running across it. Honestly, tofu. I don't have any other answer. Pretty much everything else I could live without, but if I had to completely stop eating tofu, it would be a very, very dark existence for me. Is all your makeup vegan? No, but I'm working on it. I already had a fair amount of vegan products because I've always liked shopping at places like The Body Shop or Lush, but I've also always bought my beauty products on a budget as well, so I had a lot of drugstore brand stuff. So I've started slowly replacing things, but I still have a lot of makeup that's not necessarily vegan or cruelty-free just because I keep my makeup for a long time. The other part of that question is, was it hard to switch to vegan makeup? It takes more time and effort and research and just being more mindful. If you could have 3 wishes, what would they be? I would wish that I had the powers of evaporation. Like I could just magically appear anywhere in the world that I wanted to, anytime I wanted to. I know that's a pretty big wish, but that would make life so much easier. I would wish that any new skill or language I wanted to learn, I could learn it instantly. Yeah, that would be really cool. And one more wish. I would wish to be able to talk to animals. I mean, I already have conversations with the cats I see in the street and the foxes and the pigeons that perch on the tree in my backyard. So if I could actually communicate with them and speak to them and have them speak back to me, dream come true, dream come true. I just want to be friends with all the animals. Why did I move to the UK? The short answer is, I met a guy online, we fell madly in love, and I moved to the UK to be with him. I was young and naive. Okay, I was not that young. This was only like 5 years ago. So I moved to his hometown, we got our own place together, and in the end, it just didn't work out. We honestly thought that we knew each other and that we were what the other person wanted and needed for the long run, but in the end, it turned out that we wanted different things. So naturally, I was pretty heartbroken and kind of fucked up because I had quit grad school. I had moved across an ocean for this guy and started a new life in a new city, in a new country where I didn't have any family or friends around me. So I ended up moving home for a couple months to recover and to mourn that loss of a relationship that I had thought was going to last forever. So I went home for a couple months, got myself in order, spent some good quality time with my family, just healing my heart from the breakup. But I had this 2-year work visa that I didn't want to waste, so I decided I was going to go back to the UK and finish out the visa. So I ended up getting a job as an au pair because that was a really easy transition. I had my accommodation and my job already sorted. I didn't have to worry about bills or trying to furnish a flat. So I moved to West Sussex and I worked on a big country estate being an au pair for 9-year-old twins. I was there for about 7 months and there were parts of that experience that I really enjoyed. The estate was beautiful, the countryside was gorgeous, although I was very isolated and I had no way to get around. It also just wasn't the job for me. I love kids, I've worked with kids in a lot of different capacities, but it just wasn't challenging me or fulfilling me in the way that I wanted, and I decided that it was time to leave. And that's what brought me to London. I think there's something really exciting about living in a place that's so different from where you grew up and spent your whole life. I still think of Canada as my home, but I also think of London and the UK as my home in a way. Would you ever consider moving to another part of the UK or to a different country? I would love to experience living elsewhere in the UK, especially somewhere closer to the countryside where there's more nature, not as busy as London, and I would love to live in another country as well. I don't really know where I would go. As much as I love experiencing new places and I would totally be open to living somewhere else, moving is kind of a huge fucking hassle. It's definitely not something I could do at the drop of a hat because I'm just too settled where I am right now. I have too much stuff. Even though my work is freelance, it requires a lot of equipment that has to be plugged into the wall and plugged into my laptop and plugged into each other. So it would be really difficult for me to take my work with me on the road. I would have to move somewhere more permanently, and at the moment, I just don't have a reason to. Do you think you'll live in England forever or will you move back to Canada? That's the question my parents ask me every single day. I love Canada. I have great memories of living in Canada. It's a beautiful country and there are places in Canada I would still love to explore, even live, but at the moment I don't really have a reason to go back to Canada. If I was going to move back to Canada, I would likely want to live on the East Coast or the West Coast or in the mountains. I don't know what'll happen in the future and I certainly could move back to Canada, but I don't have any plans to right now. Is blogging your full-time job? Vlogging's not even my part-time job. It's just such a passion of mine that I am motivated and inspired to do it every single day. Okay, mostly every single day. I love cooking, I love food styling, I love food photography, but I've actually only recently started to monetize the work that I've been doing, because if you can make money doing something that you already love doing, that's kind of the dream, right? How did you figure out life as a freelancer? So firstly, maybe I should address what I actually do. I am a creative freelancer. For the last couple years, I've been specializing in one area. I work recording hymns for an international client. So I arrange and record various hymns in my little home studio, and that's basically what I do from day to day. I started freelancing when I first moved to the UK because the city that I moved in was pretty small, there weren't a lot of jobs, and I needed to make money somehow. So I found some part-time retail work, and I also joined this freelancing website just to see if there were any interesting jobs I could do alongside my retail work to make some extra money. Since I started using that freelance website, I have worked so many different jobs, a lot of really random ones. I've done some photography, I've done some creative writing, I've done some article writing, some travel writing, I've done singing, voiceover work, just a whole slew of different freelance contracts that are all in the creative realm. That's actually how I first got into food blogging, because while I was living with my boyfriend in that town, I was working freelance for 2 different food blogs, and I remember thinking, I really like this food photography thing, but I kind of wish I could do it just on my own so that I'm in control of every aspect of it. Foreshadowing? I think so. I'd love to hear more about your singing and how you began. Well, I come from a musical family. My mom and dad actually met singing together in a kind of teenage Christian worship band. So my dad played the piano, my mom played guitar and sung, and now my mom is a voice and piano teacher. My brother's really musical too. He's always had the ability to learn new instruments just by ear, which as somebody who is not that way, That's really annoying. So I started singing when I was just a kid. My dad was a Christian minister, and my mom was always involved in the music team for whichever church we were at. So I guess I first started singing at church with my mom. I was in a couple choirs, although we moved around a lot, so I probably wasn't as musically involved as I could have been if we'd stayed in one place for longer. But when we moved to the town where my parents still live now, I sang a lot in the church choir. My mom and I also joined a local theater company and started performing in the musicals that they put on. And then I really got involved in music when I started high school. I started in the school choir, and for all of my high school career, and the whole time I was in high school, I was definitely like a choir nerd. We had a separate singing class that I did every year. I guess the more concise answer is I've just been singing for most of my life. Whether it was in a choir, whether it was solo performing, or whether it was just me singing Disney and pop ballads in my room. I didn't start doing classical music until my very last year of high school. I ended up taking private lessons. I took my first conservatory singing exam and just kind of fell in love with singing classical music. I ended up doing my undergrad in vocal performance, even though I originally had no intention of doing singing at university, and I got into that school for modern languages. Holy shit, life would have been different. Yeah, I originally wanted to be a translator. I wanted to work abroad and translate different languages. But I ended up doing my undergrad degree in vocal performance as well as fine arts. And after I finished university, I took a couple years off to move around some more, do some photography work, but then I started to really miss singing and music and having that be a really big, important part of my life. So I auditioned for and I got into grad school and I started that, and that's when I met the guy and moved to England. What is your favorite song to sing? I love singing Disney princess songs, honestly. Reflection, Colors of the Wind, Just Around the River Bend, Part of Your World. I also love singing Puccini opera arias. Where and when do you perform? At the moment, I don't do any solo performances in London. I have been focused on so many other things that I just haven't put the time and effort into trying to perform on my own. I did recently join the London Symphony Chorus. We perform quite a lot with the London Symphony Orchestra at the Barbican every couple months. So if you want to know more about the performances, it can all be found on the London Symphony Chorus website. Have you ever struggled with mental health? Yup. Yeah, the answer is yes, 100%. I have been dealing with depression for at least 10 years now. I had my first really serious depressive episode when I was in university, my second or third year. That was kind of when it all started, and it's a long story that I could get into another time. I ended up taking a semester off. I went home, I focused on recovery, and I was on antidepressants. I was also seeing a counselor and working through all of the issues that led to that depression. Since then, the depression has come back now and then. There have been periods where I'm totally fine. There have been periods where it's a kind of manageable depression, and there have been some other serious depressive episodes since then. My depression has definitely gotten worse in the last couple of years, although that's not exactly unexpected, seeing as I moved to a completely new country. I have dealt with some difficult relationships and heartbreak, feeling alone, isolated, being away from family and friends, although thankfully I've been able to make some great friends where I am now. So even though I've struggled more in the last couple years than I have ever probably, I also feel better equipped to deal with those struggles and to deal with that depression because of the tools I learned when I first went through it, as well as just working to overcome the shame and the stigma around it, and having the opportunity through social media to connect with other people who struggle with mental health issues, and to realize that so many of us are going through the same thing and that I'm really not alone. And that has helped me realize that I can reach out to people. I have a support system of family and friends that I can talk to about these things, and that no matter how much I struggle, having people that I can reach out to, whether that is a friend or family member that I know in real life, or even somebody that I only know through social media that I feel comfortable enough talking to about what I'm going through. Having that kind of support system in place has made a huge difference because it doesn't change my emotions and my mood, but somehow it makes everything more manageable knowing that it's not something I'm going through completely alone. How do you remain so body confident? It's not a funny question. Honestly, I'm not body confident. I am definitely not a poster child for body confidence and self-confidence and self-esteem, self-love, body positivity, any of those things that I would love to embody. I don't feel that I do. I still struggle with all of those issues, even as a 31-year-old woman. And even now, I still let my insecurities hold me back. However, as I've gotten older, I have realized what a fucking waste of time it is to spend so much of my life focused on my insecurities and my self-doubt and my issues with my body or how I look or how I feel. Focusing on that has never helped me out in my life. All it's done is hinder me and hold me back from doing the things I want to do because I'm waiting for the day that I love myself completely or that I am confident about how I look. But I've never been happy at any size or weight that I've been. I look back at old pictures of myself in high school or university, any time in my life where I was thinner than I am now, and I look at those pictures wistfully, thinking I would kill to be that size now. But when I think about how I felt at that time, I wasn't happy even then. I never liked how I looked. I always thought I was too large, I was too fat, I was too heavy, and that I would be happy if I could only lose weight and be a smaller person. And if I have felt that at every size and shape that I've been in my life so far, then there's no guarantee that if I actually lost weight or became smaller, I would suddenly start to love myself and start to feel like I'm worthy. Those feelings of self-esteem and self-love and body confidence and body positivity, those are so much more to do with how you view yourself and how much you love yourself than what you look like or what size you are or how much you weigh. So even though I wouldn't consider myself a particularly body confident person, realizing that my priority needs to be more on learning to love myself and value myself as a person regardless of how I look has been a bit of a turning point. And it's only in the last few years that I've actively started working on self-love and body confidence and how to achieve those things by focusing on my relationship with myself and how I view myself instead of just going on a diet and trying to lose weight. Through reading books, through listening to podcasts, through surrounding myself with diverse and representative social media. That's been huge. Finding people that look like me. I'm definitely still a work in progress, but I've just stopped putting so much time and energy into criticizing myself, into nitpicking the way I look, into hating myself for how I look. And now I'm trying to focus more on my passions, the things I love to do, the things about me that are not just my appearance. And the more I do, the more confident I feel about them, and that has nothing to do with how I look. Putting myself out there for other people to see means I open myself up to more criticism or judgment. But if I stay scared of doing the things I want to do because of how others might perceive me, then I'm doing myself such a disservice. I would so much rather try and do the things I love doing and try to make my life into something I'm proud of and that makes me happy than to continue sitting on the sidelines because I don't love myself enough to try and be happy. And even people who are in a much better place than I am in terms of self-esteem and self-love and confidence about themselves and their bodies, everyone has down days. Everyone has days where they feel like shit or they question their worth. And really all you can do is try to love yourself each and every day. Oh my god, I think I've answered everything. We've reached my favorite questions. The first is, why do you love alpacas? And the next one is a two-parter. Why do you have so many stuffed animals and do they all have names? I'm gonna answer all of these together because they kind of tie into each other. So with regards to alpacas, I've always thought they were cute. They're fluffy and they have cute faces. I would love to hug one right now. They're so fluffy. But to be honest, I didn't really know that much about them until I discovered this whole collection of stuffed animal alpacas. I think I like the stuffed ones even more. Which brings me to the next question. Why do you have so many stuffed animals? Honestly, I don't really know. I loved stuffed animals as a kid. I had tons of them. I think I had 2 trunks full of stuffed animals. But then as I got older, got to a certain age, and I kind of just outgrew it. I ended up giving most of them away and wasn't into stuffed animals anymore, you know, thought they were kind of lame. But then as I moved past that phase, I entered into a kind of stuffed animal renaissance where suddenly I thought they were adorable and cute again, and having them didn't make me feel like a child. I just thought they were really fucking cute. So I think it was after I moved to London, I ended up on some Japanese toy website and found this collection of stuffed alpacas. They're called Alpacaso, I think is the name. And there are big ones, and there are small ones, and there are tiny ones, and little keychain ones, and massive giant ones, and just different collections, and alpacas wearing clothes and hats, and with bows and tutus, and just anything you can imagine, there's an alpaca dressed as that. And I found this pastel collection of them, and something just came over me, and I needed them. And on a total impulse and whim, I just ordered a whole herd of them from Japan. I think I ordered 4 or 5 of them all at once. I went a little nuts. I just thought they were the cutest things I've ever seen. So after starting my own small herd of alpacas, I ended up working at Artbox, which is a shop that sells Japanese and Korean everything. Toys, candies, clothing, dishes, anything you can think of, along with all the stuffed animals. So I used to work there on weekends, and being surrounded by cute toys all the time just made me feel like I needed more, and that's how I increased my collection, increased the herd. I haven't bought any in about 2 years now since I stopped working at the shop. There have been times when I wanted a new stuffed animal, but I recognize that I do not need any more. They're just cute and fluffy and adorable. And they kind of act as makeshift pets when you can't have your own pets. Plus the alpacas work really well as pillows. Hold on, let me show you. Because of their shape, you can put them like this. You can put them in the crook of your neck and just nuzzle them, and it's very comfortable. It's okay, I've asked them and they don't mind me using them as pillows. This is Marigold, by the way. The second part of that question was, do they all have names? And the answer is obviously, of course, yes, definitely. So I thought I would give you a little introduction to the family. Do a little handheld action. So you've already met Marigold, and my other alpacas are Clementine, Sorbet, Blue, and Princess Peach. I've also got Mildred, who I call Millie. She is my pink sloth. There's Falafel, the Pomeranian. There's little Beatrice, the bunny. We've got Truffles, who is basically an Ewok. There's Rosé, Molly, Merryweather, and Butterscotch. So there is the whole family. Hopefully you enjoyed that Q&A and getting to know a little bit more about me. I know there's not too much on my channel right now, so if there's anything else you're interested in knowing about me or anything you're interested in hearing me talk about, feel free to comment below or send me a message. If you want to like this video or subscribe, that would be pretty cool, and I know that Marigold would appreciate it. So have a great day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!